It was a daylight fire. We're not a first alarm responding company into the district where the fire occurred, but we knew something bad was happening. It was likely on this fire that we would be called in on the second alarm. That ended up being the case. We were here and responded quickly. First arriving firefighters had done a good job at extinguishing the origin of the fire, which was on the first floor. Our assignment was to try and get into the second floor and open up the ceiling. The temperature, the weather conditions, the smoke conditions, we had some concern with that, but our assessment of the second floor was that it was safe and a reasonable operation, and we made an attempt to do that. There was 8 of us, 2 teams of 4. My job primarily was to manage the 2 teams, to make sure that those guys were well spread out, covering all bases, operating safely, and reporting back to command. There was a cracking noise that sparked our attention but didn't afford us any time to react. And I started looking to see where guys were, and as I was doing that, the ceiling came in. I always try and make safe decisions for the guys and the team, and make sure that if we're going to risk our lives, that there's some benefit or potential life to be saved. And you learn that over the years, how best to take those risks, what's dangerous, what's worth a risk and what's not. Life's, you never know when it's going to end. It's too short, and you have to enjoy it while you can. I've kind of found the benefit in that and turned it to my advantage to make the best of my life by seeing the situations that others go through. I knew, because of where I was in relation to Steve, that he was in serious danger. He took the brunt of the collapse and was actually carried from the second floor down to the first floor. The top portion of those stairs were gone, and I found my way down through the rubble pile to him. And as I was arriving at him and talking to him, he was awake, a little bit disoriented, but awake and talking. So I stayed with him and helped them remove the rubble and get him out to the side porch, where we packaged him in a Stokes basket and transported him to the street for further care.
Once I hit that first wall, I thought it was the end of it. But after I got down to the bottom and I'm facing down, and I realized my helmet wasn't on, my head and out, and I was pretty banged up. I was numb from my hip down at the time. So
he traveled about 10 feet with 80 pounds of equipment on him and hundreds of pounds of debris falling on top of him. When he was trapped in the rubble, he was kind of laying on his side with his face down. So the pack was exposed, but he had landed on one portion of the landing with the cylinder first. And because of the way this contours to the lumbar spine, or the small of his back, and this rides on his pelvic girdle, it was his belief that it helped prevent him from breaking his back or having further injuries than he ultimately did. Any one change in that day, and it could have turned out differently, but certainly the equipment that we issue is the safest that we can afford to buy. And he had brand new gear on that day. He was wearing a brand new dragger pack, face piece, hood, gloves, boots. Everything was top of the line equipment, and certainly contributed to him surviving that event. Greg Porter, the fire chief for the borough of Etna, just north of the city of Pittsburgh.